Welcome back, everybody, to Total Nonstop Impact. Impact Talk for Impact fans right here on the YouTube and the Twitch, wherever you get your podcast audio worldwide. To my left, you're right. We got front row Bill in the house. How are you doing, sir?
Doing good, J-Bone. How are you on this Tuesday edition of the TNI program?
I want to do a savage and be like, ooh, there's so much happening. Yeah, it's just so much to cover. Where do we start? It's my wife in the other side of the room going, oh God.
Ladies and children are frightened right now.
What is he doing? He's scaring the cat. Bill, it's just, I took a little time off last week, rough week. It's great to be doing this again. I want to thank everyone who checked in on me, messaged me, no matter where it was, Facebook, Instanet, whatever, whatever you guys said meant a lot. It really did, because it just let me know that how special this is that we do. We don't have the biggest audience on the planet, but the audience we do have is legit the best. And I'll
it's
say
a community.
It's
a community. It's the TNI fam for a reason.
It is. Yeah. And just like this. Oh my goodness, he's censoring himself now. What is happening? Frickin' Punk with the super.
You're frickin' Punk.
You're frickin'.
What is Guido here?
Yeah, right. I don't even know if Eric's Italian, but whatever. That's what you get. Very happy Joe Hendry didn't win the NXT title at No Mercy. Okay, some things never change, right, Bill? So, so what's up, everybody? Come on in, kick back. It's a Tuesday, like we said. We're covering NXTNA stuff. I know the logo looks a little wonky. I just quick threw it together. So be nice in the chat.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
That's the relationship.
I'll make something special, because it feels like there's something really special going on Tuesdays now. Like the more and more things
and
change.
Thursdays.
And Thursdays. Yeah, because there's a lot of I didn't hear spoilers. All I heard is that there is a lot of we'll call it positive collusion, between TNA and NXT.
It's the prohibited portal.
The prohibited portal. Oh, somebody make a t-shirt. I swear. I don't know, man. That's just wild. All right, Bill, where do you want to start? You want to start? Should we start out with some news?
Yeah. Do we bring the Thursday night tradition to the Tuesday night show?
Oh, I think we have to.
Do we give the Tuesday night listeners, I think for the first time ever, the jingle? It's jingle TNI. Bill. You get the jingle because it's TNI.
Jiminy Christmas.
And now, the Tuesday edition of J-Bones featuring TNA and NXT.
Searching for my fake wrestling news.
I love the little squeak you threw on the end of that. Are you okay?
A little too that's much. The announcer in the back.
Oh, that's all right. He's back there. It's Manny Bones. Yeah, he sneaks over my shoulder.
That Manny Bones.
He's still there. Look at him smiling like the shark.
Smiling
boy.
like Trey Miguel over you right now.
You're right. right? Up here, yes.
He's got the passion.
They are smiling, as opposed to over here. But
Wendy's not happy.
Wendy and Rosemary are not happy. We'll get into that. We'll cover all of it. But we're going to cover something just a tad bit different. This is strictly TNA news, but it involves a bigger wrestling universe. You ready for this? It looks like Giselle Shaw is leaving TNA.
The quintessential diva.
The quintessential diva.
Then Knockout. As a face, the quintessential Knockout. Sorry, that's
diva. Knockout. Yeah. You throw all the adjectives, I guess. I'm not going to say pronouns. We'll say adjectives. She TNA Knockout, quintessential diva. We'll keep it like that. So it's not just that she's leaving TNA. I think some fans are still going to follow her, and that's awesome. That's awesome. She built an audience in professional wrestling, starting with, I want to say, she was in Progress.
Yeah, Progress was her kind of. That's where I first heard about her. Was right. Progress.
Between Progress and Wow Women of Wrestling, and that was, I want to say, a handful of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
A bit.
Yeah. Was that the first season, or for first or second season? It was early in Wow.
It was when they had their new TV deal. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what.
Yeah, so maybe year 2.
Yeah, it's gone back a ways, so I don't know really what season or part of it you want to consider it. I've kind of followed. I know who's in there, but I've really fallen away as far as keeping track of it like I used to. I know, bad bone.
You were a Wow devotee at one point.
I was. But I still appreciate them for what they are. It's wrestling. It's just another company, and it's, it is what it is. They're doing what they're doing. It's wrestling. And throughout the years, then the quintessential diva, Giselle Shaw, made her way to TNA. Well, now she is, yes, Courtney, you are correct. Look at this. This is how good our audience is. Now she will end up with Scott in the MPW Maple. What is it, Bill? I don't want to.
Well, yeah, I think it's going by what MLPW, like ML, like Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling.
Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. Okay. Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, MLPW, MPW, whatever they decide to officially call it. She is going to join Scott D'Amore over there. And I'm not going to get into all the technicalities, relationship stuff. If you know, you know. If you don't, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. I'll tell you what, Bill. I had when Scott was fired, and a lot of people were, I think they were, I'll just put this in quotes, taking bets on, who was going to stay and who was going to go. I think she was one that people bet on to leave. And I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised she stayed as long as she did. But that's not a knock on her. Look, it's love her or hate her, it's her wrestling career. It's her decision where she wants to go, and there's nothing wrong with that. Does it affect the Knockouts division? Sure, but it also leaves room for someone else to come up and start a new career.
Take the bull by the horns
back or whatever. Bill, what do you think about all this that's going on with the quintessential diva, Giselle Shaw?
Well, it's as you're right, J-Bone. I thought at some point, because if you looked at maybe some members of the roster that may decide to leave after the Scott, you would think that would be a possibility for sure, would be the ones that were tightest with Scott, Giselle, Josh Alexander. Like there's a handful, like the Motor City Machine Guns. Like there was those ones where you're like, well, if Scott was there, maybe they stay. If he's not there, those could be the ones that don't stick around. Now the whole thing, at least right now, like obviously she was already booked. Like it seems like she could work both promotions unless they started unless in the future there would be dates or more of a television deal to interfere with that. But until then, it seemed like she could work both. So this, to me, seems like just getting ahead of that and ending it at maybe the right time to figure things out. But it does make a little more sense because remember when we saw the Gail Kim vignettes and we really didn't see the push coming out of that? Like it was like a lot of start and stop push of her right now.
Right.
For me, that's because they knew this was going to come to an end. It's like maybe they were half down the road and then they figured this ain't going to be that much longer. So then they kind of just put the brakes on because, like I said, I thought that was like you get a Gail Kim push. That's going to be something. But then they never followed it up. Like Gail Kim sent her out the door. She never showed up with her after that. But that could be because if you attach Gail to that and don't have her see it through, then what would you really do in the end? So, but obviously a great talent, I think, where like seeing her in progress, seeing stuff like at the multiverse. And I don't want to be an advocate that like wrestlers always need to do big spots and matches. Yeah. But Giselle has that ability, but she didn't do it that often in TNA matches. And like she does some crazy aerial stuff and you would rarely see that in matches, but she'd pull it out on like these really like the multiverse show. Like there were certain shows where she would go and do this stuff like she did in Progress a lot. So she was just kind of saving that for certain matches. But I feel she was going to go through that to like a title victory. That's what we would see. But it did feel like they cooled down on that. So it's not a complete surprise. But I thought she was obviously a good member of the division. It's someone that they're definitely going to have to replace internally / adding other people because there has been, and I know the rumblings are like Jordan Grace's contract's coming up at the end of the year. So there's going to be now could some of that be filled in by this program we're doing tonight, the NXTNA, who's loaded with female performers right now, NXT. Could we see maybe more than one-offs? Could we see some sort of like we saw with some other wrestlers over the years from like New Japan, one of our favorites, and have a resonance, maybe an NXT performer that works 6 months of just TNA. Yeah. Could we see part of that as part of this relationship to help kind of fill in the gaps? If not, obviously you're looking to the indies, maybe some talent that was recently at other promotions, and there's still very good talent out there. Sure. Either internationally, some indies. So something to keep an eye on for sure. Because we know they always find a way. Like everyone always does doom and gloom for the X division, the Knockouts division, the heavyweight division, and then they happen to then go, bam, a new person fills it in. It's as strong as it's ever been.
Right. Yeah. And that ties in with this right here. Mayor, we will love you, but your comment here, is there really a Knockouts division with Giselle gone and Killer Kelly being pregnant and Jordan Grace?
Killer Kelly's been gone for months.
She has been. It looked like she was going to come back. We knew she was shooting a movie. Obviously she's, doing some other
doing a little bit more.
We'll just call it extracurricular activities. With someone who I thought was going to join the
We saw here and there the young goat.
Yeah, young goat, X Division, Myron Reed. So are they going to like keep her on the roster until she has her baby and then see what she feels like and maybe she'll come back? Other women have, not everyone does, but other women have. So I'm not going to count her out right now. I mean, if they take her off the roster page or whatever, it doesn't mean nothing to me. She could always make a comeback or move on.
Yeah, look at that roster page. There's people that have been going for quite some time. So,
right.
Never go by the roster page.
Right. Yeah. It just means that
not the be all end all.
Yeah. And there's always people that can, they're listing people in the chat already. Heather Reckless from AAW. She's been on TNA a few times. That could be someone that they were looking
during the season pass era in Chicago for sure.
Right.
And we know Gail gave pretty good reviews back then. So,
right. And just with who NXT is all picking up, leaves room for future, you could say almost fantasy booked matches, if Julia comes over and has a match with someone, just I don't care if it's a one-off or a month-long thing, whatever.
That could be a nice attraction match. Like if you're building up, obviously, tonight's show, Roxanne Perez versus Julia for the belt. Yeah. On what the CW debut? When is that? Do you remember the date of when the CW debut is?
It's a month from now. It's August 1st, I want to say.
October 1st.
Or excuse me, October 1st. Yeah. What month are we? Oh, September. October. Yes. I'm sorry.
So yeah, could she maybe have a one-off match in between then? It'd have to be actually pretty quick. It'd probably have to be at the San Antonio tapings.
Well, no, I'm just saying that there's options for the future. There's they're
or even post that into the fall.
Right, their roster is loaded. The Knockouts has always been a great division. That's one thing I'll say from now until the end of time. TNA knows how to make stars, and it's a fact. Some people, they stick around as long as they can, and then they either kind of like fade away into obscurity or they move on to bigger and better things in their career. It's a fact. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. So yeah, it's an exciting time, and we got
a lot going on.
We got some people talking about Zachary Wentz and the Rascalz
in the big weekend into tonight. Big weekend into tonight because I believe that was history we saw at No Mercy, where a champion won a match on a WWE show.
Right. Yeah. He proudly brought
like a premium live event. Event.
Yeah, Zachary Wentz brought his X Division championship.
Freshly won.
Yeah, literally from Friday night. We had, you want to talk about a loaded weekend. My goodness.
Busy boy.
You had, what you guys covered TNA last week. And then the next night is Emergence, where it was so much fun to watch. It really was. Congrats to Zachary Wentz, new X Division champion. I'm really happy for him. It kind of felt like it was his time to win it, but I didn't want to put any like big predictions on it or nothing. It just kind of was. I'm like, hey, maybe that guy, And sure enough, it was his time, and he went on to No Mercy.
Yeah, it did feel like an Ultimate X. Very tough for a champion to maintain in Ultimate X. So it felt like there'd be a new winner. And when you looked at it, like obviously from NXT, you had the member of Chase U. So like you had some NXT influence in there. But you're right. I think obviously that it was just Wentz in there. and the Rascalz are getting this push in both promotions right now.
Yeah.
It did feel like that was something that you could really utilize. So now you have, obviously, you have the Knockouts champion showing up repeatedly. You have Joe Hendry, but we talked previously why, and we saw like good showing in the main event.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
If he was our champion, the people in the comments now would be going nuts about our world champion losing.
Oh, they're burying
Yeah.
the TNA. No, stop.
But that's why he couldn't win that title yet if he was doing what he's doing now.
Right.
But hey,
it's okay.
If he's not going to be on NXT for a while, that's where he can win the title now. So we'll see what happens.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, a lot coming out of No Mercy. Great show. Congrats to Zachary Wentz winning we'll just call it a grudge match against Wesley. I want to go back. I saw clips from it. I want to go back and watch the whole thing. I watched the majority of the show. The main event was great. Joe Hendry versus Ethan Page. Two guys that have been around for a while. Nothing to sneeze at here. They are stars, absolutely through and through. Hendry killed it, win or lose. So a lot of fun there, a lot of fun. So if he goes back now and doesn't, I kind of felt like this is going to be a turning of the page episode of NXT. Didn't know exactly who is all going to show up. I didn't know about the Rascalz. Didn't know if Joe Hendry was going to show up and like continue something. He didn't, but we also saw Rosemary, show up, and she's been tagging with Wendy. What's her name? Wendy Choo.
Wendy Choo. And boy, I tell you, I love this combination. They are wicked. They're evil. They're mysterious. I'm so happy for Rosemary that she gets this spot. Look, win or lose, win or lose, I don't care. It's just cool. What do you think about the TNA knockout Rosemary coming to the show tonight to face Tatum Paxley, right? Correct.
Yeah. What did you think about the match?
I thought it was a pretty good match. Obviously, it was more leading up to kind of the aftermath, and because obviously Rosemary did not win this match, but then they got kind of like the aftermath of it to lead into more. Yeah. But no, this is great because obviously Rosemary's been around. She's one of the longest tenured. She is the longest tenured knockout through this whole period. Yeah. So seeing her get this spotlight on another brand, I think that's great. The more people that can see Rosemary and appreciate Rosemary, that's great because but yet she's going to be a TNA lifer. At least it feels to me. It's like she's so invested in this company, but for her to get a rub somewhere else, that's fantastic. So I'm glad. I'm glad to see just like the Rascalz, Joe Hendry, Jordan Grace, Rosemary, like people, and I know, and let us know in the comments because I know there's a lot of people that have varied on their opinions, especially from the TNA side on like, oh, who's getting are they really getting something out of this? To me, it seems like you could question it. And I know like the AEW relationship may have left a bad taste in a lot of people in TNA. But here you can see it. Like the commentators are putting over, they're saying TNA all the time. Like every time these people are out there. So like you could make a case that maybe someone's getting a little bit more because obviously these are top tier talents from TNA going over there. So far it's been some more of the developmental, but I'd say mid going on, like not their main event NXTers have showed up in TNA yet. But I don't know if you're that far from that. Probably the biggest name so far to show up in TNA has been, I guess, Charlie Dempsey so far. But I think you're seeing that progress.
Right. I mean, there's up and comers. There's ones that have a special name behind them. They are building their own legacy. You're going to see everything, and it's just, a little bit here and a little bit there. Like tonight's show felt loaded. And I was shocked. I'm like, I went into tonight. I didn't look at the preview, nothing. And I was like, wow, we got the Rascalz. We're going to talk about them in a minute. We got Rosemary. We also got Bill. And I felt this was special. Next week, Jordan Grace is going to have an open challenge for the first time in NXT. She's done it in TNA where people
she has.
Where
we have one this Thursday.
Come over. What's that?
There's an open challenge this Thursday.
Another one.
Oh yeah.
Wow. It's
they announced it during emergence. They're like at this Thursday open challenge.
Okay. Yeah, so it's happening all over. It's it's definitely putting over Jordan Grace, as she is a fighting champion, defending it so many times to whoever, and it's I don't look at it like, oh, they're just sending over NXT women jobbers to no, it's giving your roster opportunities to, because you can only do so much on your own roster.
Oh yeah, because you'll go through the division. Yeah, you either have to have some long storylines, or you're going to go through that roster over the course of a couple months. You'll beat everybody, and nobody's left to beat.
Right. So, very interesting. Put in the chat, folks. Who do you think is going to show up for Jordan Grace's open challenge for her? I almost said an NXT Knockouts champion. No.
Come on, man.
The TNA Knockouts championship. So put it in the chat. Who do you think is going to show up? And it doesn't matter. Now, okay. Punk says here, I'd like to either a Fallon Henley or JC Jane wrestle Jordan. Yeah, great choices. Great choices. Now, Fallon, I think I'm confusing a few faces with ladies who have been in NXT and others that have gone up to the main roster. I know Lyra Val. I'm going to screw up the last name. Valkyria, yeah. She came back tonight and helped out Tatum Paxley. And, oh my God, Eric Isaac said Lash Legend. Oh! Whew! She's something else. She's great. She's great. If you know, you know. Certainly a size difference there. Lash Legend is she had a thing where she was I don't know if it was a relationship thing or just a friendship thing with was that Trick Williams, and they were seen together later. Trick Williams is not a small guy, and Lash Legend was like eye to eye with him. So I was like, whoa. And the height challenge for Jordan Grace, it's going to be interesting. Roxanne Perez, well, that already happened, Gary, but I'm not complaining if it happened again. We'll see. Just seeing if there's anything else here. Now, was Fallon Henley one of the ones that went to the main roster? Or am I thinking? I'm thinking of someone else, I think
somebody else.
Someone else got called up. I think someone else got called up. I can't think of who it is. But I think she was in a tag team with Fallon Henley. I just can't remember who it is. But anyways, in NXT. All right. Let's see. We talked about Jordan Grace. let's talk about the tag team number one contendership match. 3 tag teams. This is how they started out the show. This was crazy. Did not know this was happening. We had the Rascalz, Zachary, Wentz, and Trey, Miguel, fresh out of No Mercy, facing Gallus and one of my new favorite tag teams in NXT. These guys are just wild. What are they called? Hank and Tank?
Hank and Tank.
Hank and Tank, man. They kind of remind me of when Otis used to be with Tucker. You know, it's like that kind of charisma, enthusiasm, whatever. They come in all hyped and they're just brawling. You know, they're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna see a 5-star match out of these guys, but they are. You know, they come in and they're a lot of fun to watch. You know, they bring the hype. Oh, here, David Valentine. Good evening, sir. Great to see you. Lola Vice versus Grace will be a slobber knocker. Amen, brother. You got too sweet. Bam. Hell yeah. Lola Vice.
Speaking of too sweet, we'll be getting to that in a moment.
Oh, yeah. That's yeah. So, all right, Bill, what did you think of this 3-way tag team match for the NXT tag team championship?
Wow, J-Bone, everyone loves a 3-way, and this was a good 3-way.
Triple threat, whatever.
Triple threat.
What are we talking about here?
Hey now. But no, the Rascalz, seeing them come out on top, the momentum, all-time high right now for the Rascalz. A team that during that first run was like, can never get over the top, never won the titles. But this go around, now you're seeing it, the individual success, the tag success, now the crossover, like they are the crossover ambassadors right now for the company. And obviously a lot of shenanigans, a lot of interference in this match. But J-Bone, talk about your long-term storytelling.
It's interference that I don't think TNA fans would complain about, whether they're on the NXT roster or the TNA roster. We saw, and I'll say friends of the show.
Friends of the show.
The Good Brothers.
Oh, yeah. It's too sweet, J-Bone.
Too sweet. Yeah, so they I'd have to go back and see exactly who did what, but Gallus walks in the room and it's just whoa, yeah. So he pulled some shenanigans. There's no DQs in a triple threat, you know, whether it's a singles, tag, whatever. So anything goes. We didn't see any interference from Wesley, which was actually refreshing, but it was great to see the Good Brothers. And
now hold on, J-Bone. I think because we love our Good Brothers around here.
Yes.
I think this is the only one we got.
You suck.
That's the only one still left in the system.
Well, that's America's Most Wanted.
Oh, I did. I thought I saw the Good Brothers in there.
No, that's America's Most Wanted.
It's such a small thumbnail. It looked like a Good Brothers t-shirt.
I think.
How do we have America's Most Wanted and no Good Brothers still in the system?
I think there is one.
No, that got taken. The one from the interview, that's gone. It's long gone.
Oh, I could have sworn.
Oh no, it is there. Hold on.
It smells like beer, sweat, self-tanner, and baby oil, brother.
There we go.
There it is.
There's a throwback.
It's a classic.
It is. That is a day where the Good Brothers did a lot of media for a TNA pay-per-view, and I think they did a lot of drinking that day too. So we all midday, you know, did a shot with them or whatever we did, a beer, whatever. If you know, you know. Yeah, that was fun. And they really those are guys that I feel like the appreciation is genuine. You know, those guys are they're real, no matter if they're on a big stage, or a smaller stage like TNA. I love them.
Yeah,
So
and they were all about the promotion, which I think started a trend with outsiders coming in and really putting over the company when they were here. Because let's be honest, there were a lot of big names that came to TNA over the history of the company that were just out there for themselves to make some money and not put the company over. And then what we saw them do, they really they were putting themselves over, but they were putting over the company they were working for. And then we saw the same things from like Trinity. We saw the same things from like a lot of these, like Ali when he came on board. Like now we're seeing what our world champion, Nick Nemeth, like people that are it's all about promoting the company, which you love to see, especially when you're doing a relationship like this with NXT, that it's about the brands. You're here to promote brands, and that's what we're seeing on both shows, which is great.
They're scratching each other's backs, and it's a great relationship, period.
I scratch your back.
Yeah, scratch my back. Yeah. So, yeah. Good stuff. Loaded show tonight. Was there anything else you wanted to? Am I forgetting anything from tonight?
No, well, like there was some like back and forth like segments that had like that were referencing a lot of this stuff, and obviously we know the Jordan Gray, but I think that does cover most of the like the connection between the two for sure. Where we saw TNA get involved. Now, could they get involved in other stuff? I'm sure. You'll have to watch this Thursday. And then see how it unfolds in the next Tuesday. Because the next big NXT like premium live event is in Chicago, correct?
That is the start of the season on the CW.
Yeah, the start of the CW, and then I guess it's Halloween Havoc out here in PA in Hershey. I believe. I don't know if there's another one in between that.
That's probably the next one.
That's the next one.
Yeah. So this is all revving up towards the big,
the debut,
the big season premiere. Next week is going to be across the board a very big week for WWE. You're going to see limited. What did they say? Limited commercial. Interference. However they label it.
Interruption.
Limited commercial interruption. Yeah. So it's going to be a loaded week for them. It's very exciting.
You know what? We do got to give a shout out to a former TNA roster member who showed up on tonight's show, Chelsea Green.
Yes, that was
the former Laurel Van Ness, Chelsea Green.
Yeah,
former Knockouts World Champion and Knockouts Tag Champion.
The hot mess. That was pleasant to see. She got a nice little pop. She, I think a lot of people look at her and say, yeah, she's nothing. She really doesn't know how to do anything. It just depends on how a person is booked, but she is still very talented. She's got a lot of charisma. She's decent in the ring. It's just
she's pretty over. I'd say like her, like the thing with the tag titles over there. Like I think she's been pretty successful in this run over there.
Her and
like her best run there so far, like
clearly
in the company.
Yes. Yeah. First run, not so good. This run, definitely doing
injuries,
better.
Issues.
Yeah. She's been staying injury free, and that helps because once you get injured, no matter who you are, what your spot on the roster is, it's time away from your fans on TV. So unless you got some other big social media grab on your audience, that can hurt. That can hurt.
Oh yeah.
So,
no, that's tough, man. Injuries can, like, who knows what would happen if certain injuries didn't happen.
Yeah. You never know. Yeah, there's like you'd say there's an alternate universe out there where, something else happened in the meantime, and just armchair book the hell out of it, So, but yeah, I think that's think that's the majority of what we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and just to kind of go back to obviously any of our regular listeners, like obviously if you, because of I was up in New York at MLW last Thursday,
Ooh.
and Jay was out, and so there was not a review show on Thursday, so we tacked on the review of Thursday's show as part of the live emergence post show. So just FYI. Housekeeping if you want to go back and check that out, and there are some technical glitches and delays in there. Hopefully you can bear through a few of them because I had some bad Wi-Fi. Luckily there is some J-Bone guest appearances, and I think I connected through 3 devices over the course of the show. But
that's talent. That is talent. I tell you.
But and obviously we'll be back on Thursday for the normal flagship Impact show, and I'm sure Jay can expound on some emergence and some stuff there to get more of J-Bone's takes, since you did not see him for the most part last week.
But, I'll probably touch on I'll probably touch on a few things.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But then just another thing, J-Bone, since last week was kind of crazy, and last week we did not do a Tuesday show, right? Testing my memory on it.
Correct.
Yeah, we did not do Tuesday last week. So there was an event there was something that happened in the wrestling business, and I want to get your opinion on it to kind of close out tonight's show.
Oh, okay.
But the passing of one of my personal favorites from back in the day, and that is Sid Vicious, Sid Justice, Lord Humongous. Thoughts on Sid. I was a big, and he's one of those guys that the other wrestlers I know in like the documentaries over the years, like the 4 Horsemen, they never really gave Sid his due. But that guy was a main eventer, man. He sold out buildings because he was just a big badass dude. That era, for like there was like that period of like 8 years where that guy was just money.
Yeah, but between WWF, WCW, yeah, at that time, and I don't know. I was definitely a fan of his just because he had a great look and presented himself in a certain way that was, wow,
the monster, like that monster look, like that.
He was.
It's something you can't like. It's so tough to replicate. Like there's been like. There was the Vince machine forever that tried to get the monsters. And it was like, it's so tough to get one like that.
Yeah.
But that's what you were always looking for. Like he was the prototype.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's rare. You get a giant,
like a TNA had that in like a Matt Morgan style, like not to Sid level, but that type of similar. And a guy that I think obviously mimics some of that. He's not as big as him, but we only saw him briefly, and it's a question I still have because we only saw him. Josh Bishop showed up in TNA not long ago, and he has like a little Sid vibe to him.
It does.
But then it never went anywhere. Like I was hoping he was going to be sticking around.
I really want him to come back, and that can be someone that TNA can organically grow with the audience. Put him with Khan. Perfect tag team. And I'm gonna compare
a new skyscraper, speaking of Sid.
Hell yeah. And I kind of compare this to the tag team of the Good Hands. You got Skylar, who's like between 15 to 20 year veteran in the ring, and then you got an up and comer like Jason Hotch, and they work so well together because you got a teacher and you got a student or a Padawan or whatever you want to call him.
But speaking of
a young boy,
the Good Hands in that Ultimate X match, I think Hotch stole the show.
Oh yeah, he did stuff in that match that was eye popping. I mean, they all.
That's a breakout performance. Like you can have him break out after that performance.
I think so. and it's nothing against the good hands. I love John Schuyler. I've been waiting for him to get a moment in the sun for a long time because I saw him in the indies, and it pisses me off now because I can't remember what indie I saw him in, but it was on Flow Slam. Oh yeah, it's another Flow Slam. That's how I became a fan of him, because that was one of the indies that they featured along with House of Hardcore and all the international stuff that we saw, and it was like the start of Will Ospreay back then. Oh my God, Bill. It was so much stuff. I loved it.
The Flow Slam. You got
the Flow Slam. Yeah, if you go way back in, a handful of years ago on Smash This Podcast, you'll see a lot of like unique reviews from Flow Slam. Bless you. And yeah, she's over there, but she's still making an appearance as Mrs. J-Bone. But yeah, great stuff. Hoping Bishop comes back. But back to Sid. And now, sadly, I was kind of getting out of wrestling at this time. It was like the early to mid 90s when he was really starting to make a name for himself in the industry. I know he faced now what he showed up. I'm trying to remember where he showed up first. Was it WCW?
He was in WCW first. Like
okay.
NWA, WCW first.
Who was that tag team he was that Dan Spivey? Who
Dan Spivey. The Skyscrapers.
That's the original Skyscrapers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. See, I remember that because I used to go.
But then he was obviously in the Horsemen. Like he had his run there because obviously he was like Lord Humongous and stuff on the indies, Sid Vicious. Okay. Then he went and kind of he had the Skyscrapers. He did the Four Horsemen. Then he shows up in WWF as Sid Justice. And then he went like main events like Hogan and stuff like that. Yeah. Couple years in a row, top. Like I remember, like when I like some of my first WWF shows were like Sid Justice main event matches.
Well, I
think that's why I have a strong opinion.
He was champ for a while, right? Wasn't he?
Oh yeah. He held the belt. Okay. And then obviously, like you go back, then he had like the main event run in WCW. Then he goes back to WWF. Then he has that gruesome injury.
Oh,
that.
Career
he could have lost his leg. He could have lost his leg.
Yeah.
But then he kind of goes into like the semi-retirement. But he did show up at the ECW. He shows up at some indies over the course of it, and then kind of like slowly gets out of kind of the business.
Yeah. Yeah. Then there was a spot in the WWE a handful of years ago where they were bringing back legends, and they all came in and trounced on Heath Slater at the time was just, in the ring.
Heath Slater with the legends. Yes.
Yeah.
Vader. Yeah. He was going through everybody.
Lita even came out and did some high spots on him. It was great, so yeah, I have.
Wait. Did you say Heath?
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what he's doing now, because when he kind of faded away from TNA, I thought he was going to either go back to WWE or do something else. But I think
I'm surprised we haven't seen him show up anywhere.
Yeah, well, you know what? He's got kids, Bill.
He's got kids.
It's a gimmick, but it's real. He's got kids.
He gets a good crowd reaction. Like I always tell everybody, like, while he was here, he got one of the best reactions from the crowd. Like him and Rhino together, or just him or Rhino by themselves, always get over big. Now, Detroit, you're talking Rhino territory. Do we see a Heath turn? Does he help? Does the team, does Uncle Rhino and Heath get together again? I don't know.
Man. We'll have to see.
I wouldn't say no.
No, I love Heath. He had a great career. He was in WWE for a long time. So, you spend that much time in in a company like that, and you save your pennies, you save your bucks, especially because you got a family.
You got kids. You got mouths to feed.
You got kids. I can imagine he's good with his money, and he's in a position now he can kick back a little bit, hopefully.
And he did have some injuries, obviously, in TNA.
Yeah,
so that might be making him a little hesitant. Like,
yeah.
hey, I don't want to wind up with issues long term. So he might be slowing it down himself for that reason.
Yeah. Sadly, that kind of stuff can get in your head. That does affect you. And we've seen that across the board. We've seen that with Rosemary, other people, they get injured. And all those what ifs come in your head. Can I still go? Can I still do this? Can I make a comeback? Are they going to remember me? All that stuff. And I can't imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been hurt before, and I've had surgeries and such, and you want to go back to work, but it's on a different level, when you're just injured and you're going back to work, you're kind of just doing it for you and or your family. When you're injured in the wrestling industry, yeah, you're doing it for yourself and or your family, but there is another. I hate using this term, but I'll just say universe out there. You got your fan base, for whatever company you are with that, you just hope and pray that they remember you. And when you come back, everything goes well, Shoot, look at CM Punk, man. He had a rough couple years between leaving AEW and then coming back to WWE.
Yeah, it doesn't get easier as you get older either. It seems more likely you get banged up. So
I was so happy I know we're kind of getting off the rails, but I got to say this. I was so happy for CM Punk when he got that win against Drew McIntyre at Bash in Berlin. Man, that was a blast. First win in WWE in over 14 years. Hard to believe.
Really? He hadn't had a win yet?
No, he hasn't. He came back in the Rumble, or he came back before that. But then he got hurt right away. And then he had a long road of just, interfering in stuff and not really wrestling. This feud with McIntyre has lasted 8, now going into its 9th month. You want to talk about long-term storytelling. It's been crazy, So, but anyways, back to what we're here for, the NXT TNA. Great weekend of professional wrestling across the board, whether you watched No Mercy, whether you watched Emergence, now coming into the fallout from all that, and it smack dab ended up on this show tonight for NXT. So much fun to watch. Any final statements, Bill?
No. I like what I'm seeing. A lot of crossover right now. So, it's likely you'll be hearing from us. Obviously, we'll be covering TNA on Thursday, but I think the foreseeable Tuesdays look like they're going to be
rad.
They're going to be keeping it up. Yeah,
they're going to be rad. The only thing I can say to wrap this up is I want to see Wendy, Choo, and Rosemary form a new version of the Death Dolls in TNA for a short period.
There you go.
I mean, I miss Havoc. I want Havoc to come back, but I love what I'm seeing with Wendy, Choo, and Rosemary. At first, I was like, "What?" But I'm like, "Oh man, they actually it works. It really does." So if you haven't watched tonight's episode of NXT, find a way to watch it. You won't be disappointed. A lot of fun across the board. We don't cover the whole damn show, but I can say it's a lot of fun. Their roster across the board is really something else. Yeah. So that's going to be it for tonight. This is perfect. I wanted to wrap this up in a bow in an hour, and we did it. And we'll be back Thursday night for regular TNA stuff on TNI. And make sure you tune in to the UK gents tomorrow on Wednesday. And Oh, I was just reading that. Okay. Not doing the NWA, hey?
Well, I am planning to go to the Tampa tapings in October instead.
Oh, okay.
Because
Gotcha.
MLW will be there on a Friday, and then they're taping Saturday and Sunday. So get more bang for my buck on a trip.
Absolutely. When you're making a trip like that down to Florida, you have to. You really have to. So thank you everyone for showing up tonight, whether you're an old TNI fan or you're someone new. We appreciate you being here on YouTube and or Twitch. Make sure you sub on Twitch if you want to support. You get a free Amazon Twitch subscription.
Ooh.
You can use it. Doesn't cost a thing. If you already got Prime, you're already
free
paying for Prime.
$99.
Free 99, Bill. That is the best kind of free there is. You can free sub to TNI. Ain't gonna cost you a penny. But anyways, over on the YouTube end of things, if you want to become a member, great way to support the show on a monthly basis for a very small minimal price. Some donate on a weekly basis, like Punk and others. We greatly appreciate you. But on your way out, make sure you smash that like button, smash that sub button, ring that bell for notifications. Why? So that you know when more of our content hits your screen. Check out all the links in the description of the video, including our Manscaped 20% off free shipping code TNI. Got it in there. We love our sponsorships. All right. Take care. Thank you, Bill. Good night, folks.
Thank you, Jay.